Good morning, Joan. How are you today?
I'm fine. How are you?
Good. Nice to see you as always.
Yes.
Um, we are doing continuing a series of interviews with people who wrote for the new literary magazine on campus. And today, my name is Gary Lidman. I have lived in Westminster about 20 months, and I got chosen for this position because I have some experience doing interviews. And so we're going to start today with uh, Joan Mueller, who is an artist and, and writer. And then we are going to interview her husband, Bill, who also wrote something for the volume. So let's start with Joan. And Joan was or has been a very experienced and polished painter and writer. And I'm going to talk to her about both of those tasks, which she loves doing. Um, Joan, in your story in the journal, uh, you wrote about a little girl painting the environment around her house. Excuse me. Uh, yeah, you wrote about that little girl. Why did you choose that subject, and why does it excite you so much?
Well, I chose that subject when I was in a writing group a long time ago. And as you can see from the title, it says, and what I really wanted to write is, in that group we had, the teacher would give us prompts.
What is the title?
The title is, what is the title? What I really wanted to write about
Oh,
is,
I see.
that's the title.
I see. Yeah.
So she would give us a prompt, but always it was understood if you wanted to write about something else, you just say, what I really wanted to write about is.
Hmm.
So that's how I chose that. And I know I've talked to you about it, Gary. That to me is an iconic child drawing, what I'm describing her doing. To me, that's what children do. Maybe they don't all do it, but that's what I think about is something that all children do. A picture with a blue sky and the sun in the sky and a house with a window and fire coming out of the chimney. And out in front is one big flower. First, oh, there's a big green tree, first of all, a round ball of a tree. In front of that, one big flower. And so that's what I was having the child paint. And I knew that scene. I mean, it says it's nonfiction. Well, it is in the sense that I could put myself there. I know the place and I
What
know
was it?
that child activity. And when our daughter was a little girl, we got her an easel and I stood her outside where I could see her working. She couldn't see me, and gave her poster paints and a blank piece of paper to watch her do her original art. So for me, that child thing is very real. And it's like, I guess you'd say it's just an opening that I would say for me to continue to create things that came out of me all through my life.
Um, but weren't there some things about it that were very exciting to you? Uh, did we talk about that?
Well, it's just so vivid. It's so real to me.
Uh-huh.
I
Uh-huh.
mean, even though I didn't actually do that, I feel like I did.
Why is it real? Just because of the environment?
No, because I feel that child really alive in me.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
And that's what children do. And I
Uh-huh.
was so happy to have the time with nothing else on my mind. As a child, nothing else is interfering. You get to do something fully
And
without any worries about other things going on in your life. You're just free to do that.
and you were happy to experience that while you were, I mean, to remember that while you were doing it.
Yes. Uh-huh.
Yeah.
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 Uh-huh.
Okay. What other subjects do you enjoy painting?
Well, when I was a child, I was in special art classes, and we would go out on assignments and do things that we saw in the field. One time we did portraits, and I did a portrait of the vice principal, and people stood around and said, wow, that looks like him. So I had, affinity for doing portraits, and I did them all my life. Larger than life, very colorful, gestural, expressive paintings of people. One of my son, when he was a teenager, that was taller than he was. It stood 7 feet tall. It was a full-length portrait of him.
Uh-huh.
So portraits I did on the side all of my life. But as a grown-up, when I got to a mature style, I was doing non-figurative paintings, gestural, colorful, things that looked like they flowed right off of the page.
Mm-hmm.
And that was my work when I was a graduate student.
And you said you liked big subjects. You like to paint your subjects big.
Mm-hmm.
And what did that do for you?
Well, when I went to graduate school, I was in my 40s after I'd gotten 2 children off to school and stuff. And my models, my idols were the New York school, people who did really big, incredibly unique, individualistic. They called a school, but they all did different things. And I wanted to do my own thing. And I wanted it to be large. And I found I could buy paper, photo backdrop paper, and paint paintings that were 9 by 12 feet, which I did for my graduate show. I did it by tacking the paper against walls. And I ended up with 4 paintings, 9 by 12 feet, that were uniquely individual. Nobody else did them. Nobody else would do the same thing. And that was my graduate show. And after that, I had to go smaller because, it just seemed like to have things framed at a certain size was the way I'd be able to show them in galleries. So I cut the size, but I kept the same large motion that went off the sides and did a series of paintings, but they were all big.
And you were able to do that in part because you created a studio out of a large garage that you
Yes.
had in your house or with
Yes.
your house?
Yes, we, with my husband's help, we put up wallboard all through the garage so that I could use large walls to paint on.
Uh-huh.
And that's where I worked. Mm-hmm.
And all right. You have been an artist and a writer. Which did you enjoy more? Or did you enjoy both equally?
Yeah, no, I would say I don't seem to have any impetus for writing now, especially when I look around and see writers. So,
When did you start writing?
it was probably about 20 years ago in a small group with a teacher.
Mm-hmm.
And it was very, very, very supportive. She was a wonderful teacher. Nothing was criticized.
Mm-hmm.
We were all just really encouraged as we wrote. And that's where I did that one story that I like so much.
Mm-hmm.
So I've never been able to repeat that kind of a atmosphere for writing. But I have written over the years.
Mm-hmm.
Right now, I'm not doing anything.
Yeah, you put that aside.
Yeah. But I have continued to work in art in different ways. When we moved here to Austin, we came here about 12 years ago, and our big van had a big crate filled with framed paintings, which I brought here. And I have shown them some, but not really connected very well here. I've had 3 different studios. But what I've done here, that's in addition, is go to Flatbed Press and study with a Mexican doing woodblock prints, which
Mm-hmm.
I enjoy very much,
Mm-hmm.
small woodblock prints.
Mm-hmm.
And I've also used my iPad with some apps. There's one called ZenBrush that I've enjoyed a lot, where you can just sit with your small iPad and do things. These are very Japanese looking, but they're different ones that can be done in small spaces.
You started although you like art, you prefer to work as an artist. You did start studying art comparatively late, didn't you?
Well, as I said, I was in special classes when I was in junior high, and I
Yeah.
didn't do much till my children were, the two older ones were in school, and I started going to classes that were run by a community center.
Mm-hmm.
And as I got into it, I realized that the conversations I had with the teacher just felt like I was at home,
Uh-huh.
like I
It's a
wasn't
wonderful
in that,
feeling.
where we would talk together. And I think this is where I belong. So I ended up pursuing that, and I found I could get into graduate school as an undeclared graduate student since the program at Cal State Long Beach was impacted. So that's the way I did it. I got in and I started taking classes, and then I submitted portfolios to the master's and then the MFA program, and went all the way through getting an MFA. And that's when I had my studio and I began. I'd had classes on how to promote myself. I ended up with 3 different gallery connections over the years, including, as I told you, one was in Laguna Beach, one was in Santa Fe, and the third one was in San Francisco. And that's when I told you I got a telephone call. We were living in Long Beach, and it was from Danielle Steele, the writer, who was opening a gallery in San Francisco. She was asking if she could represent me, and I said, well, okay. It was a wonderful experience. She was like the fairy godmother. She gave us gifts. No gallery person I'd ever had treated us that way.
Did she sell some pictures for you?
She had one that she bought herself. She sold
Uh-huh.
one other. Yeah, it was more just the fun of being part of that amazing experience.
And what did what was part of that amazing experience for you? What did you do, or what did you see? Did you see her life, or her work, how she
Oh
lives, or
yeah, I
anything
mean,
like
she
that?
hung around there. She was very, very accommodating, and we knew all about her. She had a whole block. Her house was a whole block in San Francisco with nannies for all of her children. Anyway, she took us all by bus to her beach house at Stinson Beach one time. She had 2 beach houses.
Vincent Beach is just north of San Francisco, right?
Yeah, and then you go down the road to the water. And she had 2 beach houses. One was for her 9 children. The other was for her. And she said, come here, Joan. And she took me in her bedroom. And at the foot of the bed, she had my painting that she had bought.
Oh,
So, it was just one of those delirious experiences that you just don't get when you're an artist.
uh-huh, uh-huh.
Gallery people don't treat you that way.
Well, I kind of understand that. My nephew in San Francisco went to school with one of her children,
Mm-hmm.
and when he would come home, his father would say, "Why don't you date her, nephew? Why don't you date her?" Of course, he was kidding, but he did that with him quite a bit, and I just love that. Um, all right. Well, thank you very much for sharing all this, so much of your life with us, and I really do appreciate it. And I will talk to you soon again.
Okay, can I just add one more thing?
Sure.
I'd like to just tell people who are watching, if you'd like to, you can look at my website. Before we moved to Austin and I knew I was going to be in a new environment, I had my website really done up well. And it's joanmueller36.com. Anyway,
Thank you.
thank you, Gary. I've really enjoyed this chance to talk.
I'm glad. I'm really glad.
Put it all out.
All right. Could I talk to Bill now?
Yes, just a minute.
Thank
I'll
you.
get him.
For
Thank you.
those of you who are watching, this is a 2-part interview, as I said before, and now Bill Mueller will step in and talk about the article he wrote, which is about when he devised a football play to win the intramural football championship at UC Berkeley in 1952. And he will be here in just a second.
My chair and see if you sit in the middle of the picture.
Good morning, Bill.
Good morning.
How are you doing?
Good. How are you today?
Good, good. Well, we're gonna talk about this play you designed and the medal you won for helping your team win the UC Berkeley intramural football championship in 1952. That was a little while ago.
Yes.
And tell us. I know that you've said this in the article, but tell us, for those who haven't read the article, what was the play that you designed, and what were the circumstances that allowed your team to win the game after that play succeeded?
Okay. This is a touch football league, and so you get a first down by pushing the ball forward 10 yards.
Right.
And you get to 4 downs just like you normally do. You get so many seconds to get the play started, just like you normally would. And so it came down to the.
Bill, you're a little off picture. Your chin is a little off picture. Can you raise it a little?
Okay.
Yeah, that's better. And we see you better that way too.
All right, I got a collar put there. Anyway, we were coming down to the end of this particular game against a big dormitory called Bowles Hall, 75 or 80 people in it,
Uh-huh.
and it's a very good player. So here we were. It was 4th down. We needed the 10 yards to get the first down, and there were 20 seconds left in the game. So if we could get the 10 yards, we'd have the game locked up, because the interplay periods would use up all of the allotted seconds that were still on the clock. If we failed, it was likely that the other team would get 4 downs and they might beat us. So I played just to the left of the center on our line. You have 6 players. And there was a guy opposite me who was very ferocious, and I could only hold him out for maybe 5 seconds or so. And so I thought, well, okay, I've got to somehow make use of that. So to the left of me was another one of our people, and I said, why don't you go straight ahead and then veer off into the center of the field and draw the defensive player on the other team over to the center, opening up the space on our side of the field. And so that worked perfectly. I got lined up. The play started. I had time to let our player veer off to the left and draw that person out of position. And then I let the tiger go by, and the field was now empty. And so then I could just run across the field at the diagonal, and the quarterback delivered the ball perfectly as I was crossing that area, and I got over the first down marker and went out of bounds, and so we had a first down. And of course, the interplay periods would use up all of the seconds, and so we had won the game.
So essentially what you did is you created a situation where the other players went to their left, and that opened up the right, and you went to the right and caught the ball. Is that right?
Yeah.
Well, that was very clever. Now, you told me earlier that you haven't been a prolific writer, but you wrote this story for a reason, and you got a buckle when you won this championship, right? Everybody on the team did.
Yes.
Except you, and there was one. You were one short, so you and a friend of yours had to share one from 1952 until now.
Yes, that's correct.
Is that right?
That's right.
And,
yes. I was. Somebody had from the local campus newspaper, the Daily Cal, had tried to collect all the names, and they'd missed out my name. And so I was grumping about it to my friend, and he said, well, don't bother trying to go back and get him to fix it. Why don't we just share my buckle? And so we did. We started mailing it back and forth. Occasionally I would be in the same city, and we could hand it over, but most of the time it went by mail and in a little box. And I can still see that little box in front of me. iMagnet, which is a big store in Oakland. So it just kept, the box just kept going back and forth until he died.
Can't quite hear you.
Okay. The little
No, you
box,
don't have to come closer. Just go back and raise your
okay.
raise your chin a little bit.
The box went back and forth then from that time until he died in 2018.
So you had this box, and what did this? I'm sorry, this this buckle, and
Yes.
what did you do with it recently?
Okay, when I wrote the story, I gave the story to my grandson, and I gave him the buckle. And he, as he does when I give him some treasure that he wants to keep, he immediately takes it to his wherever he's living and puts it in a safe place. So the reason we can't see the buckle now is it's in a little envelope in his apartment in Washington, D.C., where he's attending George Washington University.
And you also gave him something earlier, and that was when he was living here.
Yeah, you get him a clock.
Yes, I gave him a clock.
Yeah, and what?
I left the company as a retirement gift. They gave me a big crystal clock,
Uh-huh.
and so I thought, gee, that might be something Luke would like. I said he doesn't have a clock on his desk, so I offered it to him, and as soon as I gave it to him, he took it right in his room and put it on the desk.
Uh-huh.
So I had an appreciative audience.
Yeah, it sounds like he loves his grandpa.
No, yeah, we spent a lot of time together in working on projects that I might have going.
Uh-huh.
Things where he needs to go out and buy some stationery supplies for me, and set up my filing cabinet and so on.
What other projects did you do with him?
Well, those are the kind of things I'm describing right now.
Okay. Well, I guess that's a sweet story, and I guess that's all I have for today. I did want to say, and I thank you very much for passing this information on to us. And I did want to say just one thing. This program is in existence because about 30 people wrote articles for the Westminster Journal, which is a literary magazine, and I want you all to know that the journal is on sale in the little store. It's $15 for the regular journal and $17.50 for the one that's in large print, and you can charge your bill to your Westminster account if you wish. So I guess that's it, and we'll be seeing you soon with another interview. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.